From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What up, everybody? Let's do this. It's showtime. Wake Up War Chant. We'll do a Renegade Express later this week. Leave your questions and comments on WarChant.com's Tribal Council. Use the promo code WarChant30 to join the fam. If you could, follow Corey and the show on Twitter, Corey with an E_Clark. Wake Up War Chant. It's all one word. And leave a 5-star review. That would be super duper cool on iTunes. We missed the 5th day of the month this month, but we'll do it next month. We'll read the most recent review that will be left on our iTunes page. Come hell or high water, good or bad, because that's how we roll. How do you roll today, Corey?
I'm rolling pretty normally, I guess.
Okay.
Just rolling down the road, just doing what I do. Head nose to the grindstone.
I hear you. Hey, man, don't let Brady listen to this part if you could. Or tell Shanna, the first minute mark, just don't let Brady listen.
You're coming out of the gates early, huh? Are you going to say something bad about my kid?
No, man.
Okay, you're going to cuss.
No. By the way, who were they people of distinction who emailed you and expressed their concerns about the mild use of profanity we had there back in September when we were free from the shackles of the FCC?
I wouldn't say distinction. It was just, there was a family of 4 that listened to the show, driving to school.
All right. Okay.
That was it. And I was like, well, you know what? There's probably a good many of people that do that. So we don't have to just, cuss for the sake of cussing.
Right. Yeah. I don't mean to debase the king's language, but there's some times when you just need to use colorful language to get your point across, man. But
is that what we're about to have?
No. I just want to express the fact that I'm that guy now. I'm the sum of all, not the sum of all fears, but I'm that guy, and I hate it. I got a new car over the holiday, over Christmas. I went and bought a new car back home in Tampa. Remember Sun Toyota, my guy Rami, holler at him.
Right.
So I spent all day Tuesday cleaning the car meticulously. Like I was that guy. Like I'm on my knees. I used to work at a car wash. My first ever job was actually at a car wash. So I know, you got to get the trim. You got to clean out the door jams. I'm like out there on the grind, just cleaning and polishing. And I just spent all this money on car care products. And, I know as soon as I get one little bird poop acorn on my car, it's going to ruin my entire day. I've become that. That's a good thing about having a car that was 12 years old. I really just stopped caring after a while. I'm like, whatever, just get me to point A to point B. And I put oil in it, obviously. But, yeah, that's who I am now. Don't let Brady know that. I don't want to ruin his image of me.
Oh, no, I think that's something to because heaven knows his old man isn't the kind of person that's very meticulous in the way he cleans.
Yeah.
Again, he doesn't live in filth.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't wallow in mud. But it's not. That's not one of my strong characteristics is my cleaning ability. So I think it'd be nice for his hero to also be because maybe that'll get Brady to clean.
Okay.
If Aslan does it.
Brady, I'm telling you, bud, cleanliness is next to godliness. That's what they say.
It is what they say. It's never quite understood maybe the context of that, where that came from, that saying. But, hey, whatever it takes to keep people clean.
Yeah. Speaking of which, real quick, my grandparents actually had that etched on a ceramic tile in their shower back in the motherland, back in the old country. I'm like, Mom, what does that say? My mom's like, it says that cleanliness is next to godliness. I'm like, look at that. My grandparents are super clean. God bless them. Love them. All right, man, let's talk about Florida State sports. Somebody probably tuned out by now, but I really don't care. It's my New Year's resolution. I don't care anymore, everybody. Somebody the other day got mad at us because I asked you how the weather was because I used it to segue into the hot takes being fired at Kirby Smart's direction about his record being on par with Mark Richt after 3 seasons. But you missed out on a good show that day, guy. But, hey, can we talk about the national title game? I feel like we shouldn't because we cheated the people out of a show, so we don't deserve to fall back on the crutch of discussing it. But it is Clemson. They're our rival. And, man, whoo. That's somebody tweeted us, hey, Corey, you were talking about everything's about 2020, looking ahead to 2020 and beyond. Man, we're still going to have to play Trevor Lawrence. Does not feel good.
Yeah, no, that Clemson's going to be an issue here for a while. Dabo has that thing wired pretty well
Corey,
right now.
how, why, how did this
Well,
happen? Why?
I talked about it on headlines. The thing that stood out more to me, almost even more than the Ross kid making all the crazy catches and the defensive line and the offensive line keeping Alabama's defenders from touching Trevor Lawrence, and then obviously Trevor Lawrence is a freaky guy to be that good, that young. What stood out to me, man, and maybe it's just the one kid, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but the Wilkins kid crying after the game, legitimately crying, like couldn't hold it back after the game because his guys had won a national championship. And to keep in mind that it was his second one. It wasn't like this was a dream, a lifetime dream coming true. He'd been chasing it for 15 years. He had just won one 24 months ago. And then for him to win one again and be so emotional, the fact that they all came back to play for that guy, the fact that they quoted Suge Knight on the podium, talking about if you want your coach dancing in the locker room and just quoting Suge Knight from 20-something years ago, that he gave him a wet willy. Like all that stuff, man, again, that to me is what Willie is shooting for. The players, sure. In Clemson, if they had 2-star players, they wouldn't be having a whole lot of fun on January 7th. I get it. But for that, he has built something at that place where they don't just like playing there, they revere it. They love it. It is in every fiber of them. All those former players that flew all the way out to San Francisco to be there, to be a part of that program and that win, he's fostered something there that isn't here. It could be, I guess. It wasn't like that even when Jimbo had it going. It didn't feel like this. And I don't know what Dabo has done other than be goofy Dabo. I mean, I do think he cares about those kids, and they certainly care about him. But how does he elicit so much genuine emotion? And loyalty is probably too strong. He has a bunch of juniors that leave early, but that those three guys all came back, the defensive linemen, and that the guys moved to tears by winning his second national championship for that program and for that city and for that fan base and for that man. I wonder how he did it. But to me, that's the key to the whole deal, man. He has built something there where those people love him and will do anything for him. And, I know Willie probably isn't the best tactician in the world. Neither is Dabo. Dabo's got great coordinators. Willie might have very good coordinators. We don't know. That's to be determined. We think he does, but we don't know. But can he build that culture that Dabo has built? Because if he can, man, I think anything's possible. I think that you could go on a run like that. But it is just truly remarkable what Clemson is right now.
Well, hey, man, let's not forget that Levante Taylor cried some tears after that Samford victory. So there's lots of care and emotion.
Sure, and Levante came back. He came back he's coming back for his senior year. I don't know how realistic it was for him not to come back after the season he had, but he came back. Heck, heaven knows, again, that there were plenty of players that should have been going pro here lately that did. And he and Dontavius Jackson both are coming back, so maybe they're bought in. Maybe that's a good sign that something's changed, that they're willing to come back and fight for something. I don't know. I just think it's watching a guy that already has a national championship that's going to be a first-round pick cry like that after winning a game because it means that much to him. I think that speaks volumes about what's going on there right now.
Okay. Well, let's talk about brass tacks. Yeah, I think you brought up a good point, obviously, with Dabo being the template that I don't know if Willie necessarily wants to follow, but I think a lot of Florida State fans obviously hope is the template he's trying to follow. He doesn't have the oxygen. I don't know if Willie has the breathing room, the room to grow into what Dabo has become, because Dabo was 3 years into the game before he started bringing in these high-level coordinators, and then I feel like you get into, I don't know, at this point, like they're paying, we're going to guess, $1 million plus to get, Kendall Browse on board. Can they get involved in the arms race to get these high-level guys that are going to want to stay? Because you have to really pay these guys a lot of money to stick around. maybe even the players. Brent Venables ain't going anywhere because, again, two and change a year. I mean, we can't.
Yeah, but he would get more than that if he went to be a head coach somewhere else. It's almost like he doesn't want to.
I thought he was going to go to Kansas State. I thought like he wanted that job, and he didn't.
I mean, I know his kid is on the Clemson team. He's got another kid they're recruiting. I mean, it's a pretty great setup. He gets paid more money than probably 70% of FBS head coaches. Sorry. Yeah. So he's already getting paid kind of like a head coach, and he gets to be at that place where they've got it just completely rolling. I mean, it's that's another thing. That guy's staying. He doesn't appear to be really pursuing other jobs. And I don't know that he might tell his agent, hey man, don't even float my name out there. I don't want to do that, because you don't even really hear his name that much.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like teams are seriously in talks with Brent Venables.
Right.
It doesn't seem like that happens a lot.
Right.
And he's got to be a really appealing candidate because of what he's done with that defense. But he wants to stay at Clemson, just like those defensive linemen wanted to stay at Clemson. I don't think, man, I'm telling you, man, I don't think Clemson spends any more money on their coaching staff as a whole than Florida State does. I think they're right there.
Yeah.
They're spending dollar for dollar with Clemson.
Right. One's
getting a lot of bang for their buck. The other one here lately with two different staffs, when now we're about to be on a third one. We'll see. But, so far the last few years, the other one hasn't gotten nearly the return on the investment that Clemson has. But I think Florida State, look, Brent Venables is that's a anomaly. I don't think you're going to get a guy that good, pay him that much money. Number one, that's paying a coordinator over $2 million a year, and for him to stick around and not want to be a head coach, at least for the in the short term. I don't think that's typical. But he has replaced his offensive coordinator, and they didn't miss a beat, and they got the best quarterback in the country like 2 of the last 3 years. So. I think there is a blueprint there. I think it is. Well, I think it is doable. I don't know how Dabo did it at first. That's what I know why people want to go to Clemson now. The culture's built. Dabo's there. They love that guy. They see him being goofy on TV, and being lovable, and they want to go there. I don't know why they wanted to go there in 10 and 11, but they did. And now he's built a juggernaut. Can Willie do that? Yeah, he can. But, we'll see. I mean, odds are he probably won't, just because there aren't a lot of programs like Clemson.
I think the point I was clumsily trying to make here is that, Dabo stumbled and then kind of got, he found his footing and got 10 wins, and then they really started investing heavily in keeping guys like Venables or keeping guys like Chad Morris for as long as they could. And then, they were off and running. But I feel like, Willie, we're already at this point where we're, for Florida State standards, like we're hitting the ripcord on $1 million a year for an assistant coach, which I guess if you look at Harlan Barnett's contract isn't that big of a difference. But I don't know, that extra digit just kind of makes you feel a little more anxious. But Dabo, got the 10 wins and then got Venables on board, and then they invested heavily in the coaching staff, the infrastructure around them, and then that put him on a different level. Like Florida State right now is trying to invest in that. They're behind the game in getting that football facility built. They're behind the game in terms of getting really high-end, high-level, high-priced coordinators that the bump they're going to get from that is going to take them from, 5 wins in 18 to maybe 7, 8 wins in 2019. Like, I don't know if the ROI there is going to be that's return on investment, kids, is going to be as palatable as what Clemson has. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're in this fully now in terms of Florida State's got to get this thing fixed. Willie, what do you need? Hire whoever. But the bump they're going to get from this, the bump that Dabo got, put him in an upper echelon, and then they were off and running. The bump that we're going to get from Kendall Briles, it just feels like it's going to be a good bump, but I don't know how sustainable or if it's going to put Florida State in that stratosphere that these fans have been craving and want to get back to. That's kind of the sober reality, I think, of the situation in terms of chasing what Clemson has.
Yeah, I don't think they're 2 laps behind in a 800. I don't know how many laps you run in 800.
800
is that just 2 laps?
Yeah, it's 2 laps.
Yeah, so in a 1600, in a mile, I don't think they're 2 laps behind. I think they're, 100 meters behind. I mean, it's still a significant margin, but it's not something that can't be overcome, or at least get close to them with a nice kick at the end. I think we can poo-poo 8 wins, but if this program went from 5 wins to 8 wins, and especially if they look a certain way doing it, then all of a sudden you do have momentum going into another recruiting class with a excellent recruiter. And so after that, then we'll see. You know what I mean? Then he might be turning the corner like Dabo did in 10 and 11 or 12 even. I mean, we were just talking about the other night, like who would have thought? I mean, Dabo lost to Sean McGuire in 14 with a really good football team.
Like a knucklehead. He started Cole Stout.
Yeah, he did dumb things, and then they fumbled it going in. They were in the shotgun from the half-yard line and snapped it over his head and all that. But I guarantee you there were people. Now, the culture had already been built, or it was getting its last coat of paint on it, whatever you want to say. But at that time, I was kind of under the impression, man, Dabo might not ever beat Jimbo.
Yeah,
he's just not. He can't do it. He's not going to do it because that was the time. That was the chance. And then, 15 comes. They don't even play that well. They almost lose to Florida State that year. And I think if Dalvin had 2 fully healthy hamstrings, they probably would have. Even still, they win that game. They almost beat Alabama, and then they've just been rolling ever since. They've struggled with Florida State a few times in that span, but otherwise they've still won those games. I just think that there's a long way of saying that we don't know what this is going to be yet. There were plenty of people there were plenty of Clemson fans that were through with Dabo after a 10, 11, after the embarrassment in the Orange Bowl, then getting housed by Florida State at home in that huge game in 13 and thinking, well, Florida State just passed us by. We're not ever going to catch them. We can't. Jimbo's already. We've had Dabo for twice as long as they've had Jimbo, and he's already beating us 51-14 on our home field with our best team in 30 years.
Ooh, doggy.
And then look at where they are 5 years later. Dabo's 4-1 against Jimbo in the last 5. So I think we get too caught up in the present. And right now, yes, Florida State is not close to that, but that doesn't mean in 2 years they won't be that. I mean, things do happen like that. That does change, and especially at a place like Florida State, you can turn it around that quickly. You just can. You have to recruit well. You have to develop, evaluate, all that stuff. But everything is in place. I don't think Florida State has any obstacles that will keep it from being Clemson. It has more things to offer, quite frankly, than Clemson. We've all been to Clemson. Well, most of the people listening to this show. I mean, there are a lot of kids in this country and in the state of Florida and in major cities that be like, man, I'm not going to go by that. I don't want to go live in a pasture by a lake. I don't care how cool the football mansion is. I don't want to go live in a pasture by a lake. I want to be around things. I want to be in a bigger city. I want to be with more people. I want to be where FAMU is. I want to be with a 40,000 student enrollment. This cool stadium. Like Florida State doesn't want for much.
I try to the realist / skeptic in me just falls back on the fact that like there's only so much room at the mountaintop for teams, and I just don't you have to throw somebody off to take a spot. And I know that's a terrible line of thinking because it's Florida State, and you can't think that, hey, listen, we just have to be happy with 10 wins and a New Year's Six bowl here and there. That's a good goal to shoot for. Florida State aspires and invests to win national championships, but like you did said, we are prisoners of the moment and stuff, and we see Clemson. It feels daunting, but you're always just one good hire away, man. I just don't know if that one good hire is a coordinator, if that's enough to put us over the top as a guy like Kendall Browse, but obviously that'll get things hopefully moving in the right direction. I don't know what I was going to say. I lost my sort of train of thought, but I guess the point is with the way that you talked about Clemson kind of throwing in the towel, at least the fan base in some regards, with the way Dabo played. Then like should we give Willie like 5 years? I mean, I don't want to. I mean, I think it's unfair almost to be like, all right, man, if you don't get it done in 19, it's over. But I know part of you feels like, well, then how long do you want to stay in this? Because there's no guarantee for every Dabo. I mean, I don't know how many guys do get 4 or 5 years after it doesn't work out and then find their way. I don't know how many people are out there that fit that sort of profile. But if you believe in Willie, if you believe that what Dabo's done is you can duplicate that, then you have to exercise great patience. I mean, not even a modest amount of. I mean, that's great patience in what they did in sticking with Dabo. And again, I don't know if that's because of where Clemson was. They were, almost 20 years removed or almost 30 years removed from their last national championship. Florida State's 5 years removed from it. So I don't know how much that moves the bar. But yeah, that's where we are right now. Clemson.
Yeah,
man.
it's
Clemson.
when you think about what they did, and we've talked about it before, and we had Larry Williams on from the Clemson site back before that game, that very memorable 59-10 game from a few months ago. He was a wide receiver coach that got promoted and didn't have a lot of success his first 3 years. I think he was barely above 500, had just gone 6-7, couldn't beat South Carolina. And that AD, I think it was Terry Don Phillips. I can't remember the name. I hope so.
You're right.
He saw something in Dabo. Because not everything's created equal. I mean, yeah, we can say Clemson made the right move by staying with Dabo, obviously, in hindsight. So you could look at that and say, all right, well, then you need to be patient with Willie because Clemson was patient with Dabo, and look how that turned out. Well, maybe Willie's not Dabo. You know what I mean? Like, I think Terry Don Phillips, I'm going to keep calling him that no matter what his name actually is.
You're right. Can you hear me when you talk?
Oh, sorry, buddy. No, I can't. Right. I can't. I never can.
You're right. It is Terry Don Phillips. You're correct.
All right, TDP. So TDP saw something in Dabo that made him think this guy is going to be a great head coach. I know it. He saw the direction of the program. He saw the way the culture had shifted. Well, whoever Willie Taggart's bosses are in a couple of years might see things completely differently, and they might be right. They might say, okay, well, yeah, he's got a similar record to Dabo did after 3 years, but Dabo's program was going this way. Willie's is going straight line, or it's going down. Like, there's so much context. In 2 or 3 years, if Willie Taggart is still not busted through with this thing, but it looks like it's trending in the right direction from all looks of it, not just results, but what's going on off the field, the way they play, maybe some tough breaks, maybe a couple injuries. You say, okay, he does have the way they're recruiting. He has this thing rolling. We're going to stick with him because we believe in him. But you can't just have blind faith either. Yeah. I don't think what TDP did with Dabo was blind faith. He saw something there, much like the Duke AD 35 years ago saw something with Coach K, even though he was coming off a couple of really bad seasons, and stuck with them, and that turned out to be one of the best decisions in college sports history. TDP did the same thing with Dabo when I think everybody would have expected him to be fired. I think that we know that Dabo expected to be fired. And so, not everything is created. Not all situations are the same. Just because it worked for Dabo doesn't mean it's the right move for Florida State if Willie Taggart is still struggling in 3 years. Now, if he's got it going, then it's a different conversation. I don't know how, and I also don't know how patient you can be at a place like Florida State. Clemson, like you said, hadn't won anything in 27. I think it had been 29 years by that point from when they re-upped Dabo. Florida State has been 5. Florida State's used to winning more things than Clemson. So I think the fan base will get, Clemson had Terry Bowden. They had Ken Hatfield. No, not Terry Bowden, Tommy Bowden, Ken Hatfield. Somebody else in there in the middle, Brad Scott. They had a lot of average head coaches. Florida State's not used to average head coaches. So that's why I think the pressure will be amped up a little more, and the context is a little different with Willie and Dabo. I'm just saying that that's what Willie's trying to create. That culture, that love, that family, that program, off the field, on the field, everything Dabo's doing up there, that's what Willie's, I really truly believe, is trying to emulate. And I hope he does, because as I've said a million times, that's good for college football. The Sabanization of the sport, in my opinion, is not good for college football. Dabo is.
And not to feed into the, I don't want to call it false narrative, but Terry Don Phillips played football at Arkansas, and then he actually had a 9-year coaching career as an assistant. So there's a lot of folks, obviously, that want to see the next AD be a football person, because maybe they'll have a better read of what it takes to be the guy that can lead players to the apex of the sport. So
maybe Terrell Buckley can be the next AD.
Man, we're gonna try to get
him to coach the DBs around here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get T-Buck on the show this week. Maybe we'll have him on for Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going to try an effort.
Probably just to talk about the College Football Hall of Fame, or do you want to ask him that?
Oh, I'm going to ask him that. I'm going to be under the guise of, we talk about the College Football, about you being in the Football Hall of Fame, but hey, man, why aren't you here?
Yeah. What's your deal, man?
Can you come?
What's your deal, bro?
Like, was it Harlan that said no last year? Did Willie want you? Can you tell us, Terrell? Although that might irritate some people. Again, there's some people that really think that Wesley McGriff has a better resume than Terrell Buckley, or not better, but like a more accomplished. And it's just like, man, I don't see that. But I don't want to get into that. Let's move along here. Checking out warchant.com. The top story as of us recording this is an update on Deondre Francois. You can read it and check it out. If you're a member, if you're not a member, you know what to do. Warchant 30 free days of access. I'll kind of give a little bit of it here. It looks like he's enrolled. He's currently taking part in team activities. Woo.
Yep.
Woo. Did James Blackman throw a touchdown against Clemson? Did we score? Was that like the scrub? I don't want to call it scrub time, but like the touchdown when the game was decided. Was that the game that Blackman came in and threw a touchdown really late?
Yeah, well, Keyshawn Helton made like 4 guys miss and went like 70 yards or something.
Represent Keyshawn.
Yeah, but that was Blackman that threw it. Yeah, not DeAndre.
Yeah, okay. So that's still happening. That's still a thing. Deondre Francois at Florida State. Cool. Told you guys at the round table, no one wanted to listen to me. Everyone's like, all the indicators are indicating that the indications are. I'm like, hey, man, he said he's going to go to the NFL, and if he doesn't get what he wants to hear from the NFL, he says, why is he going to leave Florida State? Here we are. Woo!
Man, that doesn't mean, again, the fall is a long way away. Just because he's participating in team activities in January doesn't mean he will be in August. Not saying that's going to happen or not going to happen. I'm just saying that's a long way away. That's going to be a hard sell to this fan base. And more than anything, the fan base cares about wins. I get it. But it's been 2 years of that guy. It's been 3 years really since he came onto the scene. But everything went so wrong in 2018. So if you go 5-7 like Willie did, you open up. You're trying to just garner some excitement, some momentum for your program, and then that guy's your starting quarterback again in 2019, knowing just everything that goes with Deondre Francois, the good and the bad and everything else. That's just going to be a hard sell, I think, man. It's not going to be anything that gets anybody excited. I don't know that they'd be doing cartwheels for James Blackman either, but I think they'd be doing, at least some calisthenics, maybe some jumping jacks. I don't know that anybody's going to do anything but sit in mud if Deondre Francois is the starting quarterback. But then again, he could go 10-2. He could.
He
could be in New York for the Heisman ceremony. He might be unleashed in Kendall Briles' offense, or he might not be here. A lot of things still on the table there, but for now, Deondre Francois is not at Tennessee. He is not declared for the NFL draft. He is still a Florida State Seminole.
Yeah, he is. But who knows? Maybe, like you said, maybe Kendall will will rejuvenate him. We'll just bring him back. Also, I don't know. I think obviously with what I said earlier in the year, and just some of the comments we've had on the show, I don't know. I don't know how many of the fans are over him. I really don't think there are a lot. And then there's been guys like Cam Akers that have kind of come to his defense on Twitter. I think when the whole thing happened, when the Sentinel posted that, sources had told him that he was thinking about leaving, and then DeAndre kind of comes and says, hey, no, that's fake news. I'm not planning on leaving. I think, Cam came out and was like, hey, I wish, people would cut this guy slack, someone who's put their blood, sweat, and tears into the program. And Cam's one of your guys. If DeAndre's not a captain or a leader, then I'm pretty sure Cam is looked upon as one in that locker room, at least on the offensive side of things. So for him to come out and say that, maybe rumors of DeAndre's, attitude in general, or maybe a little greatly exaggerated. But we'll see. It's January. If he's here, hopefully whoever's the quarterback, hopefully they win lots of games. That's what Florida State needs. You weren't there the other day when we started filming some of these videos. You didn't have to take part in the January, Corey. We did a War Chant report, sort of a mini one. They guessed kind of what the win-loss record was going to be for Florida State in 2019.
Oh, boy. A lot of 10-2s?
There were some people, I think, on the panel that said you can maybe look at 9. Maybe. I don't know if somebody said 10, but I'm pretty sure somebody said the number 9, which I was like, well, shoot. That's.
I mean, the way I look at it, well, you're starting with a loss. You go into that season knowing one of those games is a loss. And we all know where it is, and I don't know when it is.
I thought you meant like they were going to lose against Boise. I'm like, you're already conceding
I meant
Boise?
you're going into that season 0-1.
Right.
And I really feel like
0-2, you're not beating Florida.
There's one automatic loss, and there's probably, one automatic win?
Yeah.
Everything else is on the table. Like, you hope, it is going to be an easier schedule, so you hope you play some closer games. Like, you don't have to lose every game by 3 or 4 touchdowns. That doesn't have to happen.
We say
you easier schedule in Alabama.
We say
you can lose by 5 or win by 8. That's allowed.
We say easier schedule, but there's things. I mean, like Louisville's going to be better. I don't care how bad they were, and I know they're breaking a new coaching staff. I have a feeling they're going to be better than they were last year. But I guess then the fact is that that's in Tallahassee, so you do feel good about it.
Yeah, nobody comes into Doak and wins anymore.
Yeah, especially at noon.
Snake pit. Yeah, one of those nooner games on Raycom or whatever.
Jefferson Pilot.
Look, there's one automatic loss. There's one automatic win. The other 10 games are up for grabs. You'd probably think at Florida is a loss, but we don't know. Florida State hasn't lost there since 2009. So that's not something that many fans are used to. But so even if you want to say at Florida is probably a loss or definitely a loss, I don't say that, but it might be. Well, even for that sake, you still got 10 other games that really are winnable. It doesn't mean you're going to win them. Yeah. But heck, Florida State there were 3 games last year where Florida State just had no chance. I don't think that will be the case this year. I think they've knocked that down to 1.
Okay.
So they only have 1 game this year where they really have no chance. So, that's a step in the right direction, right?
Yeah. I like it.
You got NC State at home. You can beat them without Finley.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I would say, they're going to be in a lot. You figure they're going to be in a lot of close games, and you can't win all those. So you look at 8 wins as like a ceiling to me. I guess 9 could be the ceiling, but I kind of look at it as 8 because you already know you're going in with 1 loss.
All right,
and you better beat Boise State, or the wheels could fall off.
Oh, buddy. All right, let's look ahead to later tonight. Florida State taking on Miami in the ACC home opener for the Noles. You got to catch up with the team a little bit on Tuesday, did you not? What was your general feel? What was the vibe like around the team, Corey?
Well, Leonard was in a good mood. He was cracking jokes and being funny and talking about how good Phil Kofer's hair looked. Nice. And his legs, for that matter. Said his legs looked great. Kofer wears those shorts. So anyway, that's about all I really garnered.
Okay.
Cool. No, I will say that Terrence Mann, he said that, but Leonard said that before the game on Saturday, he didn't know if Mann was going to play until warm-ups because he's had a heel problem. He's had a foot problem. Trent Forrest has not been practicing lately because of a foot problem. So those are the things that, you wonder how that when your 2 best players are slowed, and you're playing, you're about to play 3 games in 6 days, including against, the Monstars on Saturday. You wonder what that effect is going to be. But, I think, they seem confident. The Miami team, the only way Miami can win is if they shoot the tar out of the ball from 3. The problem is Miami can shoot the tar out of the ball from 3. They're a really good shooting team. Florida State has been, known to give up a lot of threes. So that's what Miami's chances are. They only play 6 or 7 guys. They had one of their best players got ruled ineligible for the year. So they have a rotation of like 6.5. Obviously, Florida State plays 17 guys. So you would think by the middle of the second half, Florida State would have a decided advantage. But again, Miami's lost 2 games in the ACC, but both were close. Well, no, they were up by 15 on Louisville at one point in that game, and then lost by 17. So there was a 32-point flip there. But as Leonard called them, they're going to be hungry, but they do have talent. They wear down a little bit because they don't play a lot of guys. And against NC, they don't play great defense either. And against NC State, they had a lead until like the final 10 or 8 minutes. And NC State's a top 20 team. So it's the ACC, man. And it's not a cliche, man. There are no pushovers. If you don't play well, you can lose to anybody on your schedule, literally, and especially a team like Florida State. It's not like Florida State's like Duke. Florida State can beat Duke, but Florida State doesn't have 4 NBA first-round picks in their lineup where they can just out-talent someone. You have to out-hustle them. You have to out-energy them. You have to out-execute them. All that's Florida State has to do that. outnumber them. And so that's why every game, there's no game that Florida State can go into and think this is an automatic W. If they can get through this stretch 2-1 or 1-2, man, they're looking really pretty to make to be comfortably in the tournament. If they struggle here, maybe and lose to Miami, and then you got to figure they might lose to Duke, and you're staring at an 0-3 start to the season with 2 road games coming up after that, things could get dicey. So it's a big game for them. I'm just happy it's at 9:00 because all the Florida State basketball fans love those 9:00 tips.
Oh, I can't you wait. We're gonna be recording Renegade Express in the bowels of the Civic Center late at night, man.
Yep, that's true. I cannot wait for that. That's my favorite time of the year.
All right. Don't forget, folks, always the phone line is always open to leave us a message, 850-792-5730. I think, again, like I said the other day, we'll probably just dabble into it and see what's in there, and then if it's something good and relevant or something that can let us riff for about 5 minutes, we'll go ahead and play it. And if not, then we'll probably just let it, fade away into the ether. But it's 850-792-5730. Get on warchant.com. Get on the Tribal Council. Leave your questions. Corey and I will tackle all of them following the game against Miami on Wednesday night. That's it for the show. Thanks for listening, everybody. He's Corey Maslon. Have a great one.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.